Happy Monday. Welcome to Perspective Matters. I'm your host, Devon Lewis-Buchanan, and thank you for joining me for another week of Perspective. This week we are touching on the topic fuel or water. Sounds interesting, right? I know some of you are sitting there confused. When we say fuel or water, what I'm referring to is basically we all have a fire inside of us. We all have desires. We all are passionate about something. But it's what sparks that fire or puts it out is what I say when I say fuel or water. So fuel, when you add it to fire, it ignites it. It sets it even stronger. It causes it to, blow up. But water and fire, once you add water, the fire goes out. There's nothing left of that fire because you've added something that doesn't feed it. So when I talk about fuel and water, I'm talking about basically us. And what are we adding to the fire that's already in us? Now, a lot of times when I talk to young people, I ask them, what are they passionate about? What do you want to do? What inspires you? And quickly they'll tell me something which I totally understand. I get sports, I get certain things that are, very typical answers, at the teenage age. And my thing is, well, what are you adding to that passion that you have? A lot of kids say they want to play sports. Trust me, I was one of those kids. But are you adding fuel to your fire or are you adding water? Are you working out? Are you doing all the small things that you have to do in order to become that athlete? For a lot of kids, they want to be doctors or lawyers. Are you connecting with, different people in that field or getting around people who are able to kind of give you insight of that, that career field? Are you searching for more fuel? By and part, a lot of times young people, their water that I define as something that puts out your fire is other people. They get around their group of friends or people around them, which actually are more water than fuel. They find ways to basically put out your passion or put out your desire to do something. A lot of times I see young people, it happens constantly. And when I was younger, I was told that the people you hang around are the people you become. I know some people hear it in church, some people hear it by their parents. It's always being told to us that, pick your friends wisely. And it's very important because there's a lot of, your friends who are not going to be able to do the things that they actually want to do. So if you're getting closer to the things that you said that you want to do, sometimes they won't really be fully backing you. So that adds and serves as, water. When you turn your back, they're constantly throwing water into your fire. And eventually, it's going to put yours out. So, one important buy-in is definitely selecting your friends wisely. Also, what drives you? Identifying what fires you up, what adds, fuel to your fire. For me, and I like to bring this up because Father's Day was yesterday. For me growing up, and a lot of you may be able to relate, due in part to not having a father or not having a father present or even a parent. But, what motivated me or what added fuel to my fire was not having my father around. Now, regardless of the situation that happened between him and my mother, it's totally separate. But, when you take the option to not, really engage with your children or whatever, by and part, whatever the reason, that's what motivated me. That's what kind of got me to where the point where I always wanted to show him, basically. And I would say that was, fuel to my fire. A lot of times people ask me about my last name and they say, you have two last names. And, I have my mother's last name, my father's last name. And I carried that around even though it wasn't, that name was given to me, but I carried it. A lot of people, decide to change their names or whatever, but I always wanted my mom's last name to come before my father's because that was just a direct of how I would motivate myself. This always comes first. But at some point, that can't be your only motivation factor. For a lot of us, we feed off of people telling us that we can't do something, or we feed off of naysayers, people doubting us. We feed off that. But what happens when everybody starts agreeing with you? What happens when everybody starts backing you? How are you going to keep yourself going if everybody is rooting for you? Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to have that from within. You have to be able to ignite that. So what are some of the fires or the fuels that you have already equipped in you? And finding a way to stay away from, things that are going to not add to your fire. So it's basically we have to come up with some strategies or some, things that are by and part going to aid us in our desires and our passions, because that's what brings us closer to accomplishing goals, whatever goals that you may set, accomplishing milestones, different things that we set in our mind to do, by and part. That's what's important. That's how we get to that point. And not having to have so much as outside motivation to do these things. So when I ask young people all the time, I say, is this a fuel or fire or water? If they tell me, hey, I'm playing football, but I like to smoke weed, is that fuel or is that water? Is that helping you become the best football player, or is it, taking away from you being a football player? Or if you're trying to do something as far as being a lawyer, doctor, teacher, if what you're doing is not lining you up to get to that point, is it fuel or is it water? So those are the things that I'm talking about when I say that. So sometimes maybe you need to ask yourself, when you're about to make a decision or when you're about to, do something, maybe you should ask yourself, is this helping me or hurting me? Is this fuel or is this water? So that's what I wanted to discuss a little bit today. I really thank you guys for tuning in. This was Perspective Matters. Like I said, again, for anybody who's willing and wanting to be a mentor, Extend a Hand program. Reach out to some young people and be able to give them some feedback that may help them and aid them and may be able to provide some fuel to their fire. And again, anything you put your mind to, please, by all means, please dedicate yourself to that. It's possible, guys. Young people, I love you guys. I do this for you. We're here to inspire youth. Thank you.